How do you all think we're doing with diversity within our own community?
Can you specify?
I was going to say,
when you say you, are you just saying in general, or are you talking about within the Black community?
I'm talking about within the Black community.
So, you know, I like what Joy said. So I know why you say you're in the middle or whatever, but you're on the optimistic side. I'm on the pessimistic side. So, I think that part of the reason, just to tie it back to that, is that we can have people in the room, but in the Black community especially, I'm not going to say people select people to speak for the Black community, and that is not always. And their voice is not necessarily reflective of
everybody,
right? I think that as a community, we are always looking for that next. I'm just gonna say Martin Luther King, just for the sake of doing it, right?
You're right.
We're always looking for that, and we haven't found it, right? But we always are on the look, and when we think we got it, then this radio host or this television personage that has a lot of followers, they get to be it. Right? Not necessarily for us, but for others. So as a community, I think historically we've never spoken with one voice. Yes. I think that you said like the 20s, I think that we came together because we were isolated to a community. We all lived in communities with the pastors and the bankers and the chefs and the house. We had to live in it because of laws. But as soon as we got an opportunity to move out,
it was bye.
And I think that we have sparks that bring us together.
Yeah.
Like Black Lives Matter movement, the thing that was going on, because we know how it feels, to watch what we did, right? We know how we feel, and we come together for that. But and we can say Black businesses, and we're going to do Black businesses, but the question is, how consistent are we?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're not interrupting.
I was going to say
I'm not
that
answering the
I am
question.
very passionate about this because it really bothers me. I always say that I'm a strategist, so that's my thing. So whenever there is some type of movement or vision or something that needs to happen, what is the strategy? Okay, we know how we feel. But let's put feelings to the side for a minute. What is our strategy? When it comes to diversity, I think that in the African American community, we still, even with money and titles and stuff, we still operate at a place of scarcity. It's not enough. Or if it's one of y'all at the board meeting, it's only room for one. So I need to, go Harold again, right? I got to tear Harold down because I'm trying to get on the board of this organization, right? And so it's that. Then you have just no strategy. So we'll get together, Black Lives Matter. I'm Black, my son's Black, and then it's like, so that we need to, in order for my business to hire a Black attorney, I need to help somebody's kid go to law school. But we don't always make that's a long-term investment. But because when you operate at a place of scarcity, I don't care about the bread I'm going to eat in 20 years. I'm hungry now. And I hope and pray that there are some people who are willing to take on the long-term investment that is needed in order for us to change that. Because if I have a Black business and I want to support it, I need a Black CPA, I need a Black attorney, but there have to be enough of them. If they're only in Maryland and there are none in Michigan and that's where I live, what am I going to do? And that requires some type of upfront thinking and investment on the front end to say, okay, we don't like people from other places coming and policing our communities. Let's police them ourselves, right? And how do we do that? It costs money to go to this school. Let's sponsor a child. Let's do this. That 50 cents that's going to there, let's put it here. But that requires a strategy. It requires discipline. It requires a long-term vision. And I hope that shifts. I'm not saying that we're not capable or it's not happening and people aren't doing it, but I think there has to be a message that it comes back to bringing us together to say, like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And we want to eat today, but we also want to eat in 10 years. So what do we need to do to accomplish that?
Well, I think you said it best, that scarcity. From our history, we've always operated from a place of lack.
Yeah.
And so when you're lack, you're desperate, you're doing things that do not have the long-term sustainability as what some of the other, because we're one of the few communities who treats each other in this manner. Almost every other minority group supports their own. I mean, nothing is all or 100%, but for the most part, that's what they do. We have kind of been inbred not to do that. Or I'll give you a perfect example. We'll go to a restaurant, a black restaurant. They treat us poorly. We'll say, I'm never going to a black restaurant again. We'll go to Ruth Chris. They'll treat us poorly. We'll say, I'm never going back again. But a month from now, we'll show back up at Ruth Chris, but we won't go. We won't ever go back to the black business. So we don't treat our own people the same way that we treat everyone else. We hold them to this almost ridiculous standard. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have standards. I'm just saying we should be treating each other the same way we're treating everyone else. And we should be spending our money in the same way. We should be making an effort to, I'm not saying just only support black lawyers, but if I know a black lawyer, why would I not go talk to Patrice and find out what exactly, to see if she can help me. And if not, maybe she has someone else. But I wouldn't say, oh, she's black. Let me just look for somebody. But we don't put a conscious effort into that. So that's one of the things that I've seen a little bit more of it, especially this year after the whole Black Lives Matter. I mean, I'm hoping that we can continue that we make it sustainable.
That strategy.
Yeah, that is more sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. I also hope that we see other avenues of doing things. I mean, well, money, it comes back to the money, of course, and we know that. They talk about how even Dr. Martin Luther King, towards the end of his life, realized, like, all the hope, but we have to have a strategy. We have to get some money behind the things we want to do, and we have to have everybody can't do the same thing, but we're all valuable in our own way. There is a need for a Malcolm X and a Martin Luther King. So I think that if we start to respect each other on that level, and really create some standards for us, like, not their standards, because their standards are different, and it's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But what are we trying to accomplish? And I don't know if that question has been answered, really. As a collective, I mean, we want family legacy. What is a legacy to you? What is legacy to us? What does that look like? And what are we willing to do to get there? Because that's really the biggest question. Are we willing to live in a house for 5 years all together and pay $2,000 for rent while we all go to school and live with your parents for a little bit? Are we willing to do that? I don't know that. I don't know if that's true all the time.
Right.
And I think that, again, I do think that we've operated as a community with lack. And the truth is that I don't view us like that. I think that the financial power of the Black community as a whole would tear anybody else apart.
Right.
You know, when we think about, and I'm speaking for myself too, when we think about the amount of money that we spend outside of our community, then, it's kind of scary when we think about that there are people in our community that doesn't have food and doesn't have a nice, let's just put not even a nice place to stay, but a habitable place to stay, right? I think that we have focused as a community so much on getting someone, not to say we haven't had to, because it's been so glaring in our face, getting other people to respect us. I'm not even talking about like, but to respect us and give us the same opportunities that we have not focused on bringing us together as a community, because we're normally brought together by strife. Right. But really, I like what Patrice said, that meaning really coming up with a plan on what we're willing to do. And also, I will say this about, supporting Black businesses. Respecting a Black business the same way that you respect other people's business.
That's right.
We we're in business too, to, you know, to make a living.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, don't, you know, I've had people in my community, and I would never ever want to be anything else but a Black woman. I am.
I love it.
So
yes,
blessed.
yes,
I mean, I love it. I would never want to be anything else.
Unicorn.
And so, right, no. And so, with that in mind, you know, I give a lot within my community, and I am dedicated to helping, you know, people of color. And again, I serve everyone, but again, I am dedicated, and with that, I go way beyond the call of duty, way beyond the call. So, with that in mind, you know, people in my community sometimes are willing to pay someone that don't look like us, you know, 2-3 times as much, and then going to argue about about my fee. And so again, that goes back to respecting our community and who our people are. You know, again, what you pay me goes back in my community so that I can help other people. I do pro bono work. I sure do. I do a lot of it. But know that when I get into something, I know I'm doing pro bono work. But don't get in and then all of a sudden decide you going to treat me bad, but yet you going to go pay this other person.
That's right.
That I mean, again, not saying you have to go to a Black business, right? I mean, we live in a capitalistic society. Businesses work because we pay money out. But again, that goes to generating wealth in our community. That goes to creating unity in our community, and lifting up people in our communities so that they can help reach back and lift up more. It's like a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
And so you asked at the beginning, how is our community?
Right.
I just think our community is doing the same. I think it's just recycled with different faces.
Absolutely.
That's it. And it with no plan, we just going in a circle, like we just spinning just like the earth.
The hamster wheel. I appreciated last year when I saw a clip of a woman explaining how when you hire people outside of your community, how you're taking the money away. She explained it that when you hire police officers who live, let's just say, if I live in Prince George's, but they live in Montgomery, so my tax dollars pay your bills, but you go to Montgomery County and pay your bills, and your children get that money to go into their school. So essentially, it is going back to us needing to be responsible in that space to say, like, we need to employ and or support people within our community because we're paying people to come work here, take the money that we've given them, but then go somewhere else to spend it and invest in their own children. So when I'm looking at Montgomery County and if their schools are better and mine are not, where is my money going? That's where the money's going. You're paying people who don't want to live where you live, but they will work where you live. Exactly. And then they will take the money and go back out. So again, it's the strategy, and it's a bigger picture. It's the mindset. We have to have a different type of mindset, but it requires a level of discipline. It requires open-mindedness to even be open to hear that it's that. And then we don't have to like do a woe is me. It's just let's come up with a strategy. That's it.
And I think the strategy starts at home.
Absolutely.
Because again, there's not, I am very clear, there's not going to be a Messiah that comes and springs up in a Black community and going to do that. So how do we do it? We start small. Start doing it in your home. I think that Patrice, I think you said at the beginning, well, it was in another conversation before we got on, but meaning really start having conversation realistically with your children about money. About money, how it works, being prepared for what you say you want to do, having a vision for your life and setting it and coming up with a plan and not just sitting around clicking your heels 3 times and saying that you're going to win, but starting doing that and also teach them to love everyone, love themselves first, and then love everyone around you. Have some gratitude with what is going on, and also don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And that is the thing that I didn't grow up during that time, but when I hear that, I know this may be going a little far or whatever, but where somebody in the neighborhood snatched you up when you were doing something bad, where people are afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I remember working as a guidance counselor when I was in law school in Baltimore City schools. And I worked at a high school, and I specialized in behavior. So when I came to school, it was a little corner store on the corner, and all the kids would come, and they walk in the morning, just about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, with a bag of chips and soda. And I'm like, how your mind gonna be functioning? And I would stop, and I'd be like, throw them chips away. I don't care. I don't care. Come on. We can go around the corner. And I would say something. And I remember sharing that with someone. And they were like, aren't you afraid they're going to do something? I was like, no, they are our babies.
Yeah.
And, and don't get me wrong. I know that there are, all types of things out there. But I just know that people respond to love.
They do,
and
let me say, the
babies,
we know. So look, since she's talking to me about the babies, we know when someone genuinely cares and they're fussing. There's a difference between being nasty and when I know you're and I might not like it at first, but we know the difference. And I even see that with my own children now, and they know that I'm not fussing because I'm just trying to be mean. I'm fussing because it's correction, which is different. But bringing it back to the workplace, I think that is that racial and even, generational gap thing, where I think that the older generation has to be strong enough to be vulnerable enough to be honest, because I think that's part of it too. Like, I don't want to tell you that I probably should have gone back to school 30 years ago, because then I would have been making the money that I want to make. I don't really want to admit that. It's hard for me to say it for myself.
Right. Yeah.
And now you want me to be vulnerable with you. I don't want to do that. And then on the millennial side, I also say that a lot of my peers, give our parents some great, like, you don't know what they were dealing with back then. They did the best that they could. So if they felt like this was a priority as opposed to this, you should be thankful that they decided that they would invest in you. If anything, be grateful that they made the decisions, and don't judge them for not going back to school, not doing this, not, getting anything but a good old government job, right? Be grateful that you have that stability. But I don't think it's back to respect. We don't respect both. It's still a sacrifice. Right. My parents sacrificed certain things for my siblings and I, but on the same token, I owe it to them to have conversations, to be transparent and ask and sit at their feet and say, tell me what I don't know. Please share with me what you wish you would have done so that I can be better. If we can have that collaborative, even in the workplace.
Definitely in the workplace.
If we have that collaboration, I think that really can push things a little bit faster. Right. But I think the older generation may sometimes feel, I don't want to be too vulnerable and tell you all my business. Right. And then the younger generation, well, I don't respect what you did, because if I'm making as much money as you do now, then you must not know what you know. So I'm going to go listen to somebody else. We're missing that. Yes. It's very much needed.
It is so important in the workplace that we collaborate and engage. Yes. Two concepts that didn't exist in the workplace 20 years ago. Heck, 10 years ago. Right. It didn't exist. It wasn't embraced. Yes. But today, with all that you have accomplished and what you have envisioned for 2021, it has to include other people who are a part of your team, because without that, we're not growing.
Yes.
We're not expanding.
Yes.